Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Art. It's Wicked here, and it is Tiny Tuesday, so we are going to be drawing a Pokemon today. And remember, Tiny Tuesdays is really designed more for like the younger audience who doesn't really have the skills to go super detailed, so they're kind of a little bit shorter, but practice is practice. So even if you're an adult and you're skilled and you just want to follow along for fun, that's cool too. So we are going to be drawing Tentacruel today. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is we are going to draw the top bulbous part of the head. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of round that up to the top of the head there. Okay, we do want a little bit of a line come out right there. Then we want to kind of go above this area and kind of turn over. And then we're going to get that other bulbous part of the head. Right up here. So think of it kind of like you're making these big, huge bug eyes. Right? Then we want to give that kind of an edge. And let's see, right in here, I'm going to add in another circle right there. Okay, and then we're going to come out and we're going to connect our lines. But once I get to here, we're going to kind of angle it in. That way we kind of can give it that edge that we need. Okay, and then down here at the bottom, we're going to kind of put like a little curve and then angle ourselves out to make that kind of a jellyfish type shape. So I'm going to come back over here to this side now. So once I have this shape, I'm going to come over here and we're going to kind of curve in. And then I'm going to come out and start curving. And we want to kind of go under, give another folded edge here. And in order to keep this straight, what I want to do is we want to kind of curve this out, down. Then we can kind of round out the bottom, because the reason they have the shape design the way they do is to kind of look like he's got a furrowed brow, like he's angry kind of thing. So we're gonna just curve that right out to there. Okay, and then we can kind of put a couple extra lines for some edge work here. Under that part there. And a little bit right there. Okay, now I'm going to draw in these little circles here for reflections. I'm going to put those on the top as well. So we have like two there. Put another circle here. Really not circles, they're more like elliptical shapes. Okay, and then right here at this line where we started, we're going to kind of round off. I mean, it's kind of meant to be like the nose, but it's really kind of like a giant pincer. Take that down that way, and then I can just kind of round off the edge here. Put some curves for that like pincer shape. Okay, so we got ourselves a nice little pincer shape there. Okay, and then I want to kind of like work in the eyeballs. So we're going to kind of draw a semicircle like that there. Put like an oval in there for the eye. Then we're going to come to this other side here and do the same thing. And we're just going to put in the eye there. Okay, so now that we have that shape, I can come in here and get this circle going. Think of it almost like it's its head. Actually, I want that to maybe come out this way some more. Like that there. Okay. So now we can start adding in the tentacles. Okay, so we're just gonna draw out. And come back in. And then we can move up some. And we can add in another one right here. And just simply curve that down. And we can add another one right here. Take that down the same way. Just have that kind of touching right there. I'm just going to erase out this little bit of line so it looks like it's connected to the face. And then we'll kind of separate right here. Make it a little longer. And then we can have this other tentacle. Right there. And we can make other ones kind of come out from behind. Right there. Let's start working some other ones in on the face. Let's come over here. Let's really curve this one out. Like that. Erase that line through. We're going to come over here. I'm going to draw another one in. And just make that one curve down and under. Again, we can just kind of erase that out. Let's get another one here. Draw that back to the face. Have this one curve under. Go out. Come in here, we can get another one. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily important how many legs it has, unless you're like a purist. But we just want to give it the idea of a jellyfish, which has many little tentacles that comes off. And we can work in another one here. Extend that one out. Just like that. Okay. Now, the other thing we want to do is to keep giving that illusion of depth. So we can make more tentacles at different spots. Kind of come out. Like that. Let's see, it's kind of open in here, so let's kind of add one in here. Kind of keep that tingly web going of tentacles. And then what we want to make sure we do is that we get the backside pincer as well. So we can kind of run that back that way, and that'll kind of come off between all those in there, like that. Okay. So now we have our Tentacruel all, tentacled out. I'm just going to take an ink pen. This is a Sharpie pen, but you can obviously use a regular pen, or if you have a very thin black marker tip, you can outline your image that way. On hindsight, probably shouldn't have inked that in, but we'll go with it. It'll still look okay. I'm essentially just kind of tracing over my pencil line work. Give me a nice solid black shape in there. Okay, and we'll just continue around. Now, something that I will do is I'm going to go back over the edges and make it thicker, because that's just something that I like to do. Let's make sure we get that eye colored in. Now for the face is black also, but I think I'm just going to use a marker to color that in. But since the eye is smaller, it's just easier to do it with the ink pen here. Okay, so we'll just continue around. Let me come back up here to the eye. And obviously you can trace this out in whatever order that you want. Okay, so you can see how it's starting to make it stand out. And this is not something you always have to do. You can honestly, you can just take your pencil, if you don't want to do it in ink, and you can just darken the edges with your pencil if you want. But because I'm going to color this image, is why I'm using an ink pen. And always remember, it may not be like the fastest process, but good art takes time and patience so that you can create the best image possible. Okay, so I'm just going to continue around the tentacles. And the reason why I'm not thickening it up yet is because I want to erase out any of the sketchy lines. And then I can go back through and thicken up that edge. Again, not an option you have to choose, but again, it's just something that I like to do. So, you know, when you look at it, you're like, maybe I shouldn't have put as many tentacles in there. Again, it's just part of the process. It may seem a little tedious, but it's all worth it when you're done. These last few tentacles, then I can erase out what I don't need. These videos are just as much for me as they are for you because I get to experiment and try to get better at certain things like markers, for instance, specifically alcohol markers. I am not super adept at all the ins and outs, so I'm still learning myself. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to clean up all the excess sketchy lines just so I can get a better look at what I got. And it cleans our picture up nice so it looks nice and clean. Okay. So if you want to stop right there, you can, but I'm going to continue on. right? I'm going to do some things to make it stand out some more, like going in around the edges here and making it really thick. And it's just going to be for the outside, nothing on the inside edge. So essentially I'm just tracing the outside only of the image. And it doesn't matter which direction you go. It's all going to be the same anyway, but you can see how I'm thickening the line on there. Okay, so like this negative space right here, where there's an opening and a gap, I'll thicken those up as well. Pretty much any area that is touching an open space is going to get that thickness. Again, come to these open spaced areas. And thicken those up. Honestly, for no other reason than because I like doing it. Okay, and just keep following it around. Alright. And that's probably the most hectic part, just getting around all these tentacles. It's not something you have to do, but I think it helps the image pop, especially when we put the color on there. It's going to stand out a little bit more. Also, if you create your images this way, let's say you wanted to create your own stickers or things like that, at least you have a nice solid hard edge to make it pop out against the grain. So you can see the difference from this side to this side and why that benefits, at least in my opinion. Again, all art is subjective, so some people may not find it appealing to have those thick edges, and that's why I leave it up to you. Okay, so now I need to make sure I get inside here to all these open spaces. Same thing here, all these spots where they're kind of crossing each other. Even inside right here. Down the back pincer. Okay. And right inside of here, so you gotta be careful to just kind of really look over these spots and make sure you don't miss anything. Because believe me, it will be noticeable. Okay, so let's get inside of this area. Almost there. Just hang in there with me. You don't have to wait and go like step by step with me. If you can do it a little quicker, it's great. It won't take you as long. But I just like being careful so that I don't accidentally draw over into an area that's going to get color added to it. It happens. Doesn't mean you have to throw the whole thing away and start over. Always finish the art projects that you started. Don't ever just abandon them. Okay, so we can see how that's making it stick out a lot more through, and now we're done with all the crazy tentacles. We can just finish up the outside of our jellyfish head. Okay, so it's almost like Tentacruel's really honestly more of a mix between a jellyfish and an octopus or squid of some kind. So that's why we got a few different elements on there. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now what we have to do, well, first thing I'm going to do is we're going to put something underneath this so that it doesn't leak through my paper. Okay, then I'm going to test out some blues. I know I want to get a good gray. Nothing too crazy. Let's try this blue gray. Okay, so I'm gonna use this. If you have O markers, I got a BG7 blue gray. Okay, we're gonna come in here and add some shading to the image, and then we will simply just color over it. I'm gonna make sure that I go around this spot because that is supposed to be a reflection, so I want to leave that white. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Now because we have this edge over, we're gonna have a little bit more coverage. of shadow along the edge here. So I'm going to take that up that way. Then at the same time, I want to give that same kind of roundedness to the shadow. Now if you notice, I'm trying to stay away from that top edge. And then I also want to stay away from, again, those white circles, because I want those to be the reflections. So you have to be kind of careful with the alcohol markers, because it can get kind of, with a little bleed. And kind of overflow into the area. So you just gotta be a little careful. How you put things. So again, it seems weird at first because it's probably like, that does not match Wicked. Just have some faith in me here. Promise we're gonna go over it with the actual colors, but I'm still learning this part with the alcohol markers on how to use the gray to shade in the image with. Get this whole back area right here. Basically what I'm doing is just building up these shadows of the image. And then we'll just color over those with the actual color. Okay. So we want to kind of get this kind of an edge, and what that'll do is help us kind of round it a little bit. Okay, so I can put that there, and then I can continue to kind of follow this kind of rounded down edge here. Like that. And then also close to this here, because it's right at the orb. Like that. And then down here, on the eye, very slightly, right here, down under into there, and then we can use the shape of our pincer here. And we'll have like a change in direction. And hopefully I've chosen the right gray, but we will find out here in a minute. whether I did or did not. Now we're gonna have to do something different with the tentacles themselves because they're actually more of a gray color already. So I'm gonna have to use a different tone of gray for that. And then up here in the orb, we're just gonna very carefully kind of split that like that. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do to make my life easier, I'm going to go ahead and take that black marker, like just straight up black. Okay. I'm going to stay close to the edge right here. And down here on the tentacles, and you'll see why. Okay, and same on this right here that goes under the eye. I'm going to make that black. I can kind of color over my eyes too if I want. Help fill it in the rest of the way. Well, we're going to extend this out. And go back behind the eyes. And I'm just going to color in the rest of the body black. And again, if you're wondering why I'm leaving that little space, I'll show you in a minute. You gotta get some sunlight on the body. It's not gonna be completely black. So we just fill that in. So for right now, it may not look like much, but it will when we're all done. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now, what I do want to do, we want to find that darker gray. I'm going to go for this cool gray. It's a CG9 of the Ohu markers. And I'm going to come in here. And since it is a lighter tone, it'll stand out a little bit more against the black so that it's not all pitch black on there. Just trying to make sure I fill it in nice and solid. Okay. And now I want to find ourselves a good blue. And I think this peacock green seems to match it, a 61. Let's see how that fares against the blue gray that we've chosen. Let's first see That blue, kind of not the blue I'm looking for. Let's see what this turquoise blue looks like. That's a little bit closer. We're going to go with this turquoise blue instead, and that's fine if I got that little mark. It's okay to make mistakes. So 68 turquoise blue. Let's start coloring that in. Okay, so it's not ideal to use this sharp. Let's use the other side with the chisel. And we're just going to go over the shadowed area. So now that I'm doing this, again, we can take this as a note of learning. And in hindsight, I probably could have used a much lighter gray. Because on the Spider-Man one, I used that light gray from last week. And it really didn't show the shadow all that well. And so now that I'm seeing this, probably should have went with the light gray, but it's okay. Like I said, we always finish out our artwork on this channel, whether it turns out correct or not. It's always good to finish what you start. So this would have definitely worked a lot better and benefited from a much lighter gray. So at least if you're someone who's not coloring with me, you'd have a nice drawn out Tentacruel. But again, not everything can be perfect, and this is why I like doing this stuff, is show you that I mess up too, and I'm still learning. So the reason I'm only coloring in that little bit right there is because I need to continue on with what I got. I can't change it now. This whole underside pincer would actually be shaded. Again, I probably would have used the light gray, but it's whatever. It happens. Not gonna let it discourage me. Because the other features themselves at least help bring it back to Tentacruel, right? So like when we get the pink eyes and stuff like that, at least make it recognizable. Okay, so that's gonna take care of all our blues. Let's find ourselves the appropriate eye color. Let's see, so that's a vivid purple. Let's go for a pale purple. Let's see what that looks like. pale pink looks like. That's still too pink. Let's see what the vivid pink will give us. There we go. So we're going to go with a vivid pink. It's not a 100% match, but number 6, vivid pink. Okay. And you can see how I kind of bleed into the eye right there. That's what I was telling you, got to be careful of. We can just fill that in. Come over to this one. Kind of do the same thing. And you can see how that's blending in and making that kind of like a dark purple color. So if we had the lighter gray, it would make it more of the dark pinkish color. But again, that's okay. It's going to keep on keeping on. Okay, so we got that filled in. Now we can work on these tentacles, and that'll be that. Let's see if I have any lighter grays. Let's try, and go figure. The one that I probably need is the one that's dried out and needs a refill. Still looking here. Let's hold on a little bit longer. So yeah, unfortunately the gray that I need is pretty much dry, bone dry. So we're just gonna work with what we have. So I'm gonna use 2 different grays here. That one is definitely too dark. Let's try this warm gray out. Let's see what this green gray. I'll use this green gray. Okay. And again, just to help it get some shape and form, and this green gray is the GG5. Again, if you have a lighter version of either that stands more of a gray tone, I suggest going with that. I am essentially turning down the edge on the right side of these tentacles. And we'll just continue around. And this whole underside's probably just going to be dark. But we'll continue to fill it in. Okay, so you can see how it's kind of giving it a shadow. But we're not going to leave it white like that. We're going to use that other gray to help us with that part. Okay, so we just got a couple more. And the rest is just simply just coloring it in. So I can put that one away. Now I'm using a green gray, GG3. It's a little bit lighter in tone. But it'll help blend in with it really well. That's something else, with this video, with not having everything turn out the way I wanted. At least I found out there's some alcohol markers that I need to get refills for. That's the one thing, you got to be careful with those. Always make sure the caps are on tight, because if you just leave them cracked even just a little bit, yeah, they're pretty much done. They dry out real quick, and you got to get a refill for them. But you can see how having the thick lines has helped us as far as coloring goes. It still makes it pop and stand out. And we're just coloring these last few tentacles. Now I do want to do one other thing with the eyes here. They are technically covered by the little overlap part of the head here, so we do want to give it a tiny, and I do mean tiny, bit of shadow going across the front. So right here up under the eye, like that, will help give it a little bit of shadow. Now if you have one, and some of you may not, trying to find it in here. These Ohu markers come with a gel pen that's white. And so what you can do is you can come back Just need to kind of wet it a little bit. But you can come in there and add white highlights. But again, unprepared me, it's just not working. So, oh well. I apologize for this one today, guys. I thought I had everything I needed, but I guess not. So that is gonna do it for our Tiny Tuesdays and our Tentacruels. I'm sorry I didn't have a lot of the colors that I wanted, but it's the risk you take, right? So other than that, thank you for stopping by. Leave a comment of what you'd like to see next time. Also, remember to keep sketching, and I will see you in the next video. All right? Bye.